Let's talk about Viserys a little bit. His legacy as a king, because I think it is interesting. We talked about it like before the show even started. Is he a good king, even to where he's at right now? I guess because I almost say yes, just compared to some of the other kings.
Well,
in
it's funny.
Targaryen history.
It's so funny you say that, because whenever he was going through his conversation with Lionel, which was really awesome, by the way, I really enjoyed that scene. I was just thinking, like, I wonder what the small people, not just of Flea Bottom, but of Westeros, think of him, because they are living in times of peace. It's probably the first time they've been able to keep a farm and it not be razed and burned down and all this.
Jaehaerys.
Well, yeah, and that's fair. So Jaehaerys is there, and he has that good lengthy reign, but he's continuing that. Like, to them, they have to be like, this guy is like the moderate Targaryen. Like, he's what we need. Like, he's not starting wars. The crown seems strong, but like, if you're there, if you're in the court or you're on the small council, like, you can see the weakness. So I just wonder, like, what the general people of Westeros thought of him. But I think he is a good king that did not do a good job when it came to setting up the future, unfortunately. But is he wrong for naming Rhaenyra? I don't think so.
No, I don't think so too. And I'm actually, I like that he is adamant in his, this is how it's going to be. And then he gives that proposal to Corlys. The people who would be there, the realm that would be there during his reign, would only know him and Jaehaerys, because Jaehaerys lives for so long that, these people wouldn't be alive long enough to have lived for Maegor and Aegon, of course. But I feel like he's kind of in the middle. Of course, a lot of bad kings. There's a lot of bad Targaryen kings, but he's kind of like, I don't know. He's kind of like, he's okay. He's good. Nothing like terrible happens under his reign. A lot of terrible things certainly happen after his reign. And maybe you could say he's kind of like the James Buchanan of the United States, right? It's like, he's the one that sort of leads us into the Civil War, or causes it, I guess, right? So,
well, here's a question. Do you think Daemon sabotaged his reign in some ways?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely actually actively sort of sabotages it.
Yeah. Even though he is trying to make the crown stronger and he wants the family to be strong. Like, that is Daemon's goal. It just so happens to turn out that the way that he's
though?
Oh, definitely.
Or is it Daemon wants Daemon to be strong?
No, I think he wants, because I don't think he even wants the throne. I think he just wants the family to be strong. And that's what he kind of talks about, like returning them to the dynasty, right? And him marrying Rhaenyra makes that stronger. And he doesn't even though he likes the Velaryons, like there's a wall between the Targaryen and the Velaryons, because even whenever Corlys is kind of shitting on Viserys, he's like, whoa, that's my brother. Relax. Like, we're Targaryens. We're one step above you. So I do believe that Daemon is all about the Targaryen family. I think he goes about it possibly, the wrong way.
So his plan was to have Laenor Velaryon and Rhaenyra marry. So, and in theory, when he dies, Rhaenyra would be queen. And then their children would take the Targaryen. Those children would be like Targaryen, or no, those children
Velaryons.
They would be Velaryons, but then after that, they would all be Targaryens.
Once they ascend the throne, if they were to ascend the throne, they would be.
Okay. So it would
so
be
they
like
would never rule
like Augustus.
Right. They would never rule under the name Velaryon. It would always be Targaryen no matter what.
Gotcha.
Which
it was just the way he kind of phrased it. I was like, hold on a second. Wait,
Rhaenys and Corlys's conversation was also really well done. I think those two have incredible chemistry on screen. Steve Toussaint, if that's how you say his name, is doing just such a fantastic job. I really like that he took a second to be like, did I overstep my boundaries? And Rhaenys is like, you're fine. He's a pushover.
Well, we did get a super chat here from Matt saying, one of the worst Thrones episodes felt like a soap opera, irrelevant relationships that weren't built, random fight out of nowhere, kings just dying in the background.
Interesting. I would say that's probably not going to be the popular opinion, but say true.
I appreciate the super chat.
Chat. And hey, everyone's entitled to their own opinion.
Absolutely. Hey, if it has a 9.9 on IMDb, well, somebody's out there not liking it enough to give it the 10. So
that's right.
No, and I am always willing to share, people who didn't like it, because I want to know why. Right.
Yeah, I'd like the irrelevant relationships piece probably expanded on if that's going to be a fair critique. But like I said, there are people who think this show's terrible. So
King just dying in the background. He does just kind of fall down.
I think he's but this is what I mean. Like this has been built over the season. Right. So I mean, I don't know about him just dying in the background. And plus, isn't that kind of like Viserys's entire arc, is that he is slowly fading into the background, into weakness, into death, as like everything's going into chaos around him. Like, and that's why like some people perceive him to be a weak king and not a good king.
It's kind of interesting because to view him, and I think the person to kind of best compare Viserys to now, at least, is Robert Baratheon, because we have Game of Thrones and now we have House of the Dragon. And it's kind of interesting too, because Robert Baratheon, almost you feel like the same thing, where he feels like, I've gotten, he jokes about like I've gotten fat and gods, I was strong then, thinking about how when he was at war, that's when he really felt like he was at his best, right?
Yeah.
Even though he still tried to prevent a war. He legit tried to prevent a war.
Yeah, and also if you think about it, it's like they're kind of the polar opposites, but have the same feelings. Like Robert really succeeded whenever it was all about war and bashing people's skulls in, and Viserys on his, not his deathbed per se, but getting there, talking to Lionel Strong and says, "I wonder how I would have done in a time of war. Like maybe if I'd been held in the crucible, I would have been forged differently." And it's just always wondering what the other side kind of looks like. So even though in mentality, I think they're two very different kings, they're kind of both leaving very rocky successions for different reasons, but also wondering what it would have been like had it went differently.
Well,